Every self-help account on the internet will tell you that strong people attract people, that confidence is magnetic, that the more you work on yourself, the richer your relationships become. That is a beautiful idea. It is also wrong. The truth that nobody in the personal development space wants to say out loud is this: genuine strength does not attract people. It filters them. And the stronger you become, the smaller the number of people who can actually meet you where you are. The loneliness that strong people feel is not a failure of their strength. It is evidence of it. But that is not what the myth says. The myth says that if you are lonely, it means something is missing in you, that you're too intense, too closed off, too damaged from past relationships to let people in. And the reason that myth is so persistent is that it is partially true for some people some of the time, which makes it easy to apply to everyone all of the time. And the person sitting alone on a Saturday night, genuinely not miserable, genuinely not wishing they were somewhere else, gets handed the same diagnosis as someone who is isolated by fear. They are not the same. And treating them as if they are is one of the most damaging things the culture does to the people who need it least. Here is what is actually happening psychologically when a strong person finds themselves consistently alone. Their tolerance for low-quality connection has dropped to near zero, not because they are arrogant, not because they think they are better than anyone, but because they have had enough genuine connection, even briefly, even in the past, to know the difference between being in a room and being received. And once you know that difference, you cannot unknow it. The brain, which is a prediction machine, runs a constant background evaluation of every social interaction. Is this nourishing? Is this draining? Is this real? And in a person who has done significant internal work, that evaluation system becomes extraordinarily precise. It catches hollow interactions faster. It flags performative connection earlier. It recognizes the difference between someone who's interested in you and someone who's interested in the idea of you. And it starts sending a clear signal: this is not worth the energy, in situations where a less developed system would not even notice the deficit. This is what psychologists call social selectivity, and the research is clear. It is not a disorder. It is not avoidance. It is not fear. It is a calibrated response to an increasingly precise internal standard. The problem is that the world was not built for precise internal standards. It was built for volume, for showing up, for being agreeable enough and available enough that the friction of connection stays low. And the person whose standard has risen above what most casual social environments can offer ends up alone, not because they cannot connect, but because they refuse to pretend that low-quality connection is the same thing as the real version. The third thing nobody tells you about strong people and loneliness is about energy. Genuine strength of the kind built through loss, through self-examination, through choosing discomfort over comfort repeatedly over years, is metabolically expensive to maintain. It takes real cognitive and emotional resources to stay honest, to stay boundaried, to stay clear about what you need and what you will not accept. And spending time with people who do not operate at that level does not just feel unfulfilling. It actively depletes the resources that the strength requires. This is not snobbery. This is neuroscience. The prefrontal cortex, which handles impulse control, emotional regulation, and values-based decision-making, has a finite capacity. Spending it on social interactions that require you to mask, to shrink, to perform a version of yourself that fits the room, leaves less of it available for the things that actually matter to you. Strong people end up alone, partly because solitude is the only environment where they do not have to spend energy being less than they are. And I want to say something that will make some people uncomfortable. The loneliness of a strong person is not the same loneliness as isolation born from fear or trauma. It looks the same from the outside: an empty Saturday, a dinner alone, a phone that does not ring. But the internal experience is completely different. One is a prison, the other is a preference. And the culture's insistence on treating them identically, on assuming that anyone alone must want to be otherwise, does a specific kind of damage to people who have worked very hard to earn the right to their own company. If you are watching this and recognizing yourself, the person who is called intimidating, who is told they are too much, who finds most social environments subtly exhausting, I'm not going to tell you to try harder to connect. That advice was never written for you. What I will tell you is this: the size of your social circle is not a measure of your capacity for connection. It is a measure of how many people you have found who are worth connecting with. Those are completely different things, and confusing them is how strong people end up feeling broken for something that is actually a sign of everything working correctly. You are not depressed, you're not broken, you might simply be surrounded by the wrong people, and there is a specific psychological reason why that feels exactly like depression. And why it is not. That is the next frequency. If this one reached you, stay tuned in.